there, fellow Star Wars nerds, and welcome to Unlimited Content, the podcast where two brothers talk about all of Star Wars film and TV in chronological order on the internet as an excuse to hang out more. We're your hosts, Sam and Jack, and this week we're talking about the Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 11, Lightsaber Lost. And this week is our final episode of 2023. Sam, we made it.
We did. It's our 30th episode.
Yeah, episode 30, last episode of the first year of the podcast.
Wow.
It's gonna be a good episode. We've got one episode to talk about, and it's a fun episode, and then after that we're gonna have kind of a big old discussion segment where we're gonna just kind of look back at 2023 and think about all the different things that we loved from this year and things that we're appreciative of, and then look forward to 2024 and see what's coming up that we're excited for.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, how are you, Sam?
I'm well. I'm doing good. I'm still kind of chained to the school year in my job, and so, but it's Christmas break right now, so I am more relaxed than I've been in a while, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah. Things are going good, man. Christmas is, when we're recording this, Christmas is a week from tomorrow.
Yes.
So I'm excited about Christmas. Marion's getting all excited about Christmas. But dude, Christmas gifts are expensive.
Oh yeah,
and
that's true.
And I have to pay for those Christmas gifts somehow. And I assume you do as well. Is there a way that we can maybe get some credits to pay for these Christmas presents?
Well, as luck would have it, Sam, we do this week have an unlimited sponsor for Unlimited Content.
What?
So this week's episode of Unlimited Content, maybe unfortunately for you, Sam, is Sam Ford.
What?
Sam Ford is our sponsor this week.
Wait.
Because I feel like, I was thinking about it, Unlimited Content brought to you by so many great sponsors this year, but really, the person who's really brought it to us the most is Sam Ford, because this podcast was his idea. And he came to me and was like, hey, can we do a podcast where we talk about Star Wars? And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And it's been one of my favorite things that has happened this year, is this podcast. So I'm grateful to Sam Ford. And I'm also grateful for how much he is paying us to sponsor this episode.
Yep, all of the credits in my bank account are going to this podcast. Sorry, Sarah.
Excellent.
We're broke now.
Yeah. Thank you to our sponsor, Sam Ford, for sponsoring this episode on the content.
You're welcome.
He also came up with the title of the show, which I very much appreciate, because I honestly love the name Unlimited Content.
It's a great, I'm proud of it. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Sam also does all the album art for the episodes, so those delightful collages of chaos. Yep. You have him to thank for those.
However, Jack does the hardest job of all, which is editing every single episode. Jack is our editor extraordinaire, and without Jack, you just get me talking for an hour and a half, and then just uploading a notes, like a voice memo. That's what you would get from me. So thank you, Jack, for making this thank you for making this like a real professional thing. And
no problem.
Yeah.
It was a little bit tough at first to just kind of get into because I've never edited a podcast before this, and so I was figuring out what's kind of my workflow for this. And the first few episodes I was very kind of perfectionist about it, but then once we got better at talking on the podcast and having a good flow of things, and B, I got kind of a template set up in my editor, and so now it's pretty straightforward most of the time. I just I put in our 2 tracks, I sync them up with the clap, and then I just press play and listen in the background while I'm doing something else. And then whenever there's one of us coughs or there's a long pause or something, I'll go in and edit that out. But that's basically it. So it's a pretty straightforward process now, which is nice. I've gotten
that is nice. That is nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, Sam, what have you been up to this past week?
Oh man,
other than not watching the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yeah. No, thank God. Man, this week was crazy busy for work, so I really didn't do anything fun this week, unfortunately. Yeah, I've been really lame and boring this week. But I did, now that I have free time again, I have decided that I'm going to start reading a book that's been on my to-read list for a long time, which is semi-relevant to the podcast. I'm going to read Star Wars Aftermath.
Ew!
Star Wars Aftermath, yeah. It is found it at Half Price Books. for very cheap, but it is in perfect condition. Like, look at this. Like, it looks like it's a brand new book.
It's impressive because it's a paperback too, but it's in perfect condition, which is like even more impressive than if it was a hardback.
Wait. This is the British edition of the book. I just realized that.
Wait, how do you know it's the British edition?
It says $9.99 in pounds, and it says .co.uk on the website. It's in pounds.
Do you think they spelled the word color with a U in this version of the book?
Let's find it. Oh, no, spoilers! No, I'm not going to look.
Well, that's neat. Yeah, Aftermath is it's
the
like
although
immediately after
the first thing I did open to
thing.
Yeah. The first page I opened to, I did see Roger on there, so the battle droids show up.
Excellent.
That's fun.
That's amazing.
So I'll let y'all know how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trilogy, I think, right?
Is it? That's fun.
I think there's the Aftermath trilogy. Yeah, I believe.
Sweet. So. Nice.
Yeah. Cool. I'm looking forward to hearing your book report on this book.
Book report. Yay.
Well,
Jack, what have you been up to? I'm boring. You tell me about your life.
Well, not a whole lot going on except for one thing that happened a few days ago. That was very exciting. So on Friday, I took Friday off and left my house at like 5:30 p.m. And drove on I-35 in the dark in bumper-to-bumper traffic for 2.5 hours in the rain.
Barf.
To go to a concert in San Antonio, and it was still worth it.
Ooh. Do tell.
I went to the Sonic Symphony World Tour in San Antonio. This is the Sonic the Hedgehog World Tour concert, and it's incredible.
It looks so awesome. And there was a band playing with the orchestra for some of the songs, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
The way it worked is this is a concert series that they're doing a worldwide tour of music from the Sonic the Hedgehog video games. They a couple years ago for Sonic's 30th anniversary, they did like a live stream concert that was basically this, and then like a little while after that, they were like, "Hey, we're actually gonna put this on the road and like make it a live tour because it was so people loved it so much." And I watched that live stream when it first aired, and I was like, I loved it. It was incredible. It was amazing. And then they announced that it was coming to actual places. And then they eventually announced one in Texas, in San Antonio. And so I was like, you know what? I can make the drive to San Antonio for the sake of a Sonic the Hedgehog concert. I'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did. So the way it worked is basically there's two like acts to the concert. And Act 1 is all just orchestra. So it's kind of a mid-sized orchestra playing like orchestral versions of music from throughout the Sonic series. More so like the kind of the original like 2D side-scrolling games, but they did some from later stuff too. Like they did some instrumental versions of stuff from Sonic Adventure, and yeah, it was great.
Nice.
And then there was an intermission, and then we came back. Although I did want to mention one thing about the intermission that was funny. So the way they did the concert is there's like a giant projector screen behind them that is playing clips from the games as they're doing the music, and they're very like actually well edited, like I mean, you would expect it to be well edited because it's a professional thing, but it's just like
sure.
they kind of went the extra mile with it, and there's just some like really clever fun edits, and there's like they make sure to kind of include all of the fan favorite moments, and it was good. And then during the intermission they had a countdown timer on the screen that was like for 20 minutes. And then when it got to 10 seconds left, it started playing the drowning music. Which is great.
It's like some of the most tense music in all video games. It's like, oh no, yes, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I've heard people use that as their alarm clock sound because it always wakes them up.
Why? Oh man, yeah. It's like if you want to wake up like stressful. Having a heart attack, sure.
Yeah. In post, I will put it in. Here it is. Wow, wasn't that stressful?
That was so stressful. Oh gosh.
I hope I remember to do that, or else that's going to be real silly.
Now I hope you forget, because it'd be even sillier.
Actually, it's in now. There it was. Because the first time I left it out as a joke so that you thought that I forgot it and it was funny, but now you got to hear it anyway. So
this guy.
Okay. But yeah. So the first half was all orchestra stuff, and then the second half was the orchestra and like a rock band. So there was an electric guitar player and a bass guitar player and a keyboardist and a drum set man and a singer. And they did all of the the songs with lyrics from throughout the Sonic series. And it was very, very good. They're so fun and good and high energy and just it was so good. And the energy in the room was amazing, because it was like I don't know what it is about Sonic the Hedgehog as a franchise, but like people just love Sonic, and I get it. I don't necessarily know like why, but it's just, I don't know. I love Sonic. It's just fun and cool and makes me happy. And I grew up with it. And I was in this room with hundreds of other people who like also like grew up with it or are currently growing up with it. Like it was a really like diverse group of people. So I saw like plenty of people that were like around my age, saw some people who were older, saw some people who were like younger, saw groups of friends. I also saw like, parents with their young kids there. And, it was like, yeah, it was great. And like I saw one kid who was like, maybe like 8 years old and had like a Sonic hoodie on, sitting there with his dad. And, it's just like, it was fun. And there's lots of people like, I want to say like half the people who showed up were wearing some sort of Sonic merch, like a t-shirt or a jacket or whatever. Nice. I saw multiple people in Sonic onesies or Sonic hats. I saw a lot of people who brought like Sonic plushies with them. It was just fun. It was cool.
I love it.
And it was delightful. And then the last two songs they played were Escape from the City and Live and Learn, both from Sonic Adventure 2, which are, yes. They were definitely the biggest crowd pleasers, which is why they left them for last. But it was amazing. It was so good. Like, yeah, and I was singing to some of my friends a while ago. Like, I am not usually the kind of person to sing along at concerts because I'm too self-conscious. But when those songs came on, I was like, I've been training my whole life for this. It's like, oh yeah. And I just got so into it. It just makes me happy. It's just that, like, Sonic in general makes me happy, but the music specifically, like, for all the franchise's ups and downs, the music is always fun and good. And it was delightful, and it was very fun, and I'm very glad that I went. I wish the traffic hadn't been quite so bad, but because I did end up showing up like 10 minutes late. Oh no! Just because of how there was like. Did
you miss the start?
Rain,
or like
I missed. I came in like during the first like medley. They were doing like a Genesis series medley that I came in like in the middle of, and then this could be like another 10 minutes to find my seat, and
yeah.
But then I sat down, and then it was great the rest of the time. But yeah, so that was fun. That was kind of my highlight of the past week, and definitely like, man, I've been looking forward to this concert for a long time, and
you've been talking about it for a long time.
I'm very glad. Yes, I'm very glad that I got to go, and it was super good, and it brought me joy. And I do want to tell one little anecdote.
Yes, that please.
I already told you in chat, Sam.
But, yeah.
So after the show, everybody congregated out, and like, there's a lot of people like standing outside the theater, just like talking or waiting for their rides or whatever, and people talking about the show and just being in a good mood. And then there's this guy, like, evangelical Christian person who like, was walking down the street like in front of the theater, holding a sign that's saying like, Jesus is Lord, Jesus is Savior, whatever. And like, hold on, I gotta. Okay, he was shouting "Jesus is the way" repeatedly, and then at one point, like when he like got to like in front of the theater where all the Sonic fans were congregating, he shouted "Jesus is the way," and then without skipping a beat, multiple people all shouted "Sonic is the way," and then somebody started to chant, and everybody was just shouting "Sonic, Sonic." It was just.
I love that. So that makes me so happy.
I know, right?
Listen, like I work for a church. I teach kids about Jesus for a living.
He's a fan of Jesus.
I am a huge Jesus fan, one might say. I can't stand people like that who just like there's like an honestly no relationship with these people. Just like, you guys suck because you don't like Jesus, and I'm better than you, and blah blah blah. I'm like, that. No one has ever been won over that way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's so lame, and I feel so proud of all the Sonic the Hedgehog fans that put that guy in his place, because that is not the way you're supposed to do it. And
yeah, Sonic is the way.
Sonic is the way. Honestly, yeah, Sonic's the way.
But yeah. So that was my adventure this past week, was that concert. So beyond that, we don't have any unfinished business from last week, I don't think, and we don't have any Star Wars news at the moment.
Unfortunately,
we're gonna talk about what's coming in 2024 in a bit, but for now, Sam, is it time for our main segment?
I think it might be. Before we get into that, while you were talking about Sonic and the story that I had already heard, I was looking, and I think after we hang up here, Sonic Adventure 2 is on Steam, and so I'm gonna get that.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah, because I have our copy of the GameCube game, and I have our GameCube, but it's scratched to high hell.
No,
it runs for like 30 seconds. Like, it doesn't even get to the menu screen.
That's
so yeah, it is a bummer. So it's $10 on Steam. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. Well, actually, Sam, I have it on Steam, and I can share my library with you if you just want to access all my games. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, yeah, let's just do that.
Yeah. So
that way I don't have to tell my wife why I spent $10 that we don't have on a video game that I already own.
It's an important purchase.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll have access to all of my like 500 or whatever games. So
Sick.
There you go.
I didn't know that was a
including
thing.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Hell yeah.
And I also have, I have Sonic Adventure also. So the first one.
Nice.
Also, another Sonic thing real quick. We
always have more time for Sonic.
Exactly. I mean, I got to go fast, but I'll make it fast. So when I went there, I was hoping to get some, like, buy something from like the gift shop table when I was there to kind of commemorate this, because it was a fun event. I ended up not getting anything because it was just like extremely crowded and the line was super long, and I couldn't even tell where the line started. And it was like, that's bad. You know what? I think I'll just go, because A, the stuff here is expensive, and B, I think I can buy some of this stuff online if I wanted to. So, but then today I went to Best Buy and I got Sonic Origins Plus for $20. It was on sale. This is it's the most recent re-release of like the classic Sonic games. So it's Sonic.
Oh, nice.
1, 2, 3, and Knuckles and CD. All in like HD widescreen and with like new special features, and they created new like fully animated cutscenes for the game. Oh, sweet. And it's like, yeah, so
is it like the same like 16-bit kind of?
Yes, it's exactly the same. It's just upscaled to HD, so it's like it looks crisp is all. Yeah,
nice.
But it's also widescreen, and they added some new features, and also you can play as Amy now, which is cool.
Hey, do you get the hammer? Amy has the hammer, right?
Yeah, she does have the hammer.
I said that, and then I'm like, wait, am I wrong? Am I making a fool of myself? No, I just second guess myself.
You should believe in yourself, like Tails does. That's the because his theme song is called "Believe in Myself." Anyway, so I got that for $20 because it was on sale today, and I'm probably gonna play that after we're done recording the podcast.
Wonderful.
So very excited. Yeah.
I love it.
Well, all right. Without further ado, I think it's time for us to move on to our main segment today, where we are going to be talking about the Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 11, Lightsaber Lost. Sam, where does this episode take place in the Star Wars timeline?
It takes place in 21 BBY.
Whoa!
Yeah, believe it or not.
Halfway there.
Whoa! Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. Lightsaber Lost. The moral of this episode is easy isn't always simple. All right. Episode 11, Lightsaber Lost. And a principal defense. All right, start again.
War.
Okay. War creates opportunity for the criminal underworld. Ruthless mercenaries conspire with the Separatists to disrupt and exploit the unstable situation within the Republic. Now, Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano descend into the treacherous gangster the treacherous gangster havens in an effort to find a corrupt and vile arms dealer who is buying weapons on the black market and selling them to the Republic's enemies.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, this is a fun episode. This
is a
nice,
fun episode.
Like, fun one-off situation.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right, here we go. Anakin and Ahsoka are in the slums of Coruscant searching for Kar Affa, an arms dealer selling Republic weapons to the Separatist. They arrive at a bar where Affa is hiding, and Anakin instructs Ahsoka to wait outside while he apprehends the fugitive. When the patrons storm out of the bar, Ahsoka is jostled to the ground by the crowd. When she realizes her lightsaber is missing, she catches a glimpse of it in the hands of a pickpocket. She chases the thief, but loses him in the crowd. Unwilling to inform Anakin about her loss, she heads to the archives in the Jedi Temple in hopes that Jocasta Nu can help her find the thief. She proves no help at all due to her limited knowledge of Coruscant's criminal element. I love that Wikipedia is so blunt about she proves no help at all.
Yeah. I mean, I would disagree. She pointed her in the right direction. Like, I don't know, but he does.
Yeah. Come
like,
on, Wikipedia.
That is as helpful as having the answer yourself.
Yeah. Pointed in the right, yeah. She was helpful. Okay. She was not no help at all. She was somewhat of a help.
Yeah.
Anyway. But hope is not lost because she is able to serendipitously direct her towards the one person who can help. Tera Sinube, a Jedi Master with specialized knowledge about Coruscant's criminal underworld. Sinube finds Ahsoka's thief in the database, a Patrolian named Banamu. Before Ahsoka rushes off, Sinube insists that he come along on her adventure, advising her that slowing down will help her find what she's looking for. This episode is very, like, it's slow and steady wins the race, and respect your elders. Is like,
it really is. Yeah.
Is the thesis of this episode.
Yeah.
And Tera Sinube is a fun character. Like, we don't get a ton of this guy, but, like, I don't know, he's a fun, like, you know, he's very,
he's a mischievous grandpa.
Yeah, he's a mischievous grandpa who also happens to be, like, a really good detective, basically.
Yeah.
Which is rad. I love the idea of detective Jedi, you know?
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's like if Yoda leaned into his grandpa-ness and, like, but also his funniness. It's just like if he took, like, Yoda's personality types and just kind of dialed him up a little more, he gets Tera.
Yeah. It's great. So I'm really quickly, I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for Tera Sinube just to kind of see, like, you know, where else have we seen him? First of all, we saw him, I think the first time we saw him canonically, like in the chronologically, was in the episode of Tales of the Jedi when Ahsoka does her test, her Fortnite test. You remember? The one where there's like the ray shield like closing in on her. And
Fortnite. Yes, I'm like, yes, got it. Cool.
One. I think Tera Sinube is like in the room during that, which is neat. But yeah, but I was looking at his Wikipedia article, and I had forgotten about this. In Obi-Wan Kenobi, when Obi-Wan goes to the Fortress Inquisitorius, there's like a bunch of like Jedi preserved in amber, basically like dead Jedi, and one of them is Tera Sinube.
I thought I remember seeing him like his body dead, like in a back to tank kind of thing. Like,
yeah. Exactly. Yes.
And I couldn't remember where. I couldn't remember if it was Bad Batch or what, but I didn't realize it was live action.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was like.
I don't know if we've ever seen him in live action other than this. I think that's it. But yeah, I just sent you the image.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Yeah. There he is.
Oh yeah, there he is.
So sad.
Yeah. He looks a lot different in live action than he did as a cartoon.
Indeed.
But that's kind of how it goes.
That's how it goes. All right, back to the summary.
Yes.
Back in the slum district, they are directed to Banamu's hideout, the Spider Arms Hostel. Ahsoka eventually locates Banamu and learns that he has sold her lightsaber to an assassin called Knack Movers. The two Jedi hurry to find him, while Sinube advises Ahsoka again to be patient in their search. At the apartment owned by Movers' girlfriend, they find that the lock has been cut open and Movers has been killed. The two Jedi soon see a frightened female called Ione Marcy, I think is how it's said.
Yeah.
Hiding in the apartment, who asks if the men who killed Movers have gone. Ahsoka goes to search the bedroom, where she gets attacked by Cassie Cryer, I don't know, wielding Ahsoka's lightsaber. Upon learning that Ahsoka is a Jedi, not knowing she's a Padawan training as a Jedi, that is, you don't have to sass. Come on, Wikipedia. You don't got to sass them. Anyway, Cassie jumps through the window and runs along the city's rooftops. Ahsoka chases after and contacts Sinube, informing him about the development. This is a really cool sequence.
It's a fun chase.
Yeah, it's a fun chase sequence. They're like, so they jump out the window and they're like sliding down the roof of this building, and they like jump across a big gap and then chase each other around. And there's like, they get on the speeders and there's, they're dangling on poles, and it's super fun. It's a nice.
Oh yeah, I love me a good Jedi parkour chase.
Yes, it's fun. Especially in Coruscant, where it's cool. It's a cool setting to have a chase.
Oh yeah, it's one big parkour jungle gym.
Yes, with a bottomless pit below you all the time.
Yes,
basically.
Like if you fall to your death. There is no option.
Yes, it's a Super Mario 64 level. Yeah, and there's this one part where like, she like crashes into a billboard or whatever, like a giant like video screen, and it's got Palpatine like saying stuff. It's like, it's not propaganda, but it's like, he's like saying stuff like, well, first of all, the first thing he says is like, as Ahsoka is like, jumping along these floating structures that are like falling down to the ground, and she's like dangling on the side of this screen. Palpatine's like, I assure you that the Jedi are doing their very best to keep all the citizens of this city safe. And then he talks about
classic.
And then he's like, the rumors that the Jedi started the Clone War in order to gain power are absurd. And it's like, wow, like hearing that from Palpatine, who's like, he's like, I mean, he's right, it is absurd, but it's absurd because he knows who did it, because it was him. Yeah, I don't know, this is funny. Was it interesting? I like that they had that detail in the background, like, because it was like, it wasn't necessary to like the main like plot of what was going on. It was just like a nice kind of world building detail, and I thought it was cool that they like took advantage of that kind of opportunity. I agree.
Yeah. I'm glad you caught what he was saying, because I couldn't hear what he was saying.
I had the captions on also.
Oh, perfect. So, yeah, we just put Marion down, so I like turned the volume way down. It's like, I can't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So Sinube, meanwhile, realizes an inconsistency due to the fact that Ahsoka's attacker was a female, while Ione Marcy claims that men had broken into the apartment. Coupled with sensing something more than just shock in her, Sinube deduces that Ione Marcy was involved in the crime. He subtly attaches a tracking device to her and summons GU series Guardian police droids, but Ione escapes in an airspeeder. Meanwhile, Ahsoka is closing in on Cassie on the top of a high building when Cassie jumps and lands in Ione's passing speeder. Sinube picks up Ahsoka in another speeder, and they follow the tracking device to a train station. Police droids apprehend Ione, but Cassie manages to dash off onto the top of a departing train. Ahsoka runs after her, and they ultimately enter a wagon where Cassie takes a Twi'lek mother and child as hostages, still with Ahsoka's lightsaber in her hand. When the train arrives at the next station, Cassie attempts to run away again, but Sinube, having gotten to the station first, intercepts her and disarms her. Cassie is arrested. Later, Sinube suggests that Ahsoka should share the lesson she has learned as they head to the Jedi Temple. Master Yoda greets them and invites Ahsoka to share with the younglings the value of patience and the responsibilities of never losing their lightsabers. The end. The end.
Yeah,
this is a really good episode. This is a fun episode.
I think Tara Sinube is a fun character for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's kind of a, he's old and wise and wacky in kind of the same way that Yoda is. But he's also like, he's a detective, which I think is really cool. Because again, like the idea of Jedi detective is just I want to see a Jedi detective show now. Like just like procedural on like that takes place mainly on Coruscant, and it's like a Jedi or like an ex-Jedi or something who's like a private eye,
Yeah, that it could be a cool like post Order 66 during the Empire, like someone working for like the rebellion, like just doing covert ops, private eye kind of stuff for the rebellion, but with Jedi powers. That'd be
so cool. Yeah, I'd love that. That, and also
I think we're kind of just describing Andor but with Jedi.
I mean, kind of. Which honestly, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
sounds cool.
Prestige TV with Jedi in it. Yes, please.
Yes, please. So Terrace Nube is cool and fun and wacky, and I like the fact that, like, you know, I mean, there's throughout this episode, there's this emphasis on the idea of having patience, and I like the fact that Terrace Nube is kind of so, like, self-assured and, like, confident in his ability to, like, know what's going on, that, like, you know, there's one part when they're heading to, like, catch up with the people they're, like, on a speeder, and they're trying to catch up with the criminals. And Ahsoka's like, "You're going so slowly, we're gonna miss them." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, we're gonna cut them off at the train station." And she's like, "How did you know they're at the train station?" And he's like, "I put a tracker on them." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And it's also, just, I don't know.
Just a comment on the tracker. It's this comically large tracker. Like, we're talking, it's like half of an eggshell. Like, dude, just like, he, like, is consoling this girl, like, who's actually one of the bad guys, and just, like, puts it on her shoulders, like, there, you're okay, and just, like, sticks the sticker on her back. But it's, like, this, like, golf ball size thing, like, on her shirt.
I mean, it's television. It's got to be big so the audience can see it, I guess.
But, like, it looks exactly like the ones that you'd, like, would throw onto it, like, that Obi-Wan throws onto, like, Jango Fett's ship. It's, like, the exact same tracker. It's huge.
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, they use the same size tracker for people as they do for ships. But yeah, I just like that moment where he's like he's going slowly, but it's because he knows that, like, that, you know, even at this speed they'll be able to, like, catch up with them before. You know, it's just like it's an impressive sort of level of confidence and, like, understanding, and you just get the sense that, like, you know, this is a very, like, kind of powerful, wise, trained Jedi, because he's, like, you know, he only expends the amount of energy that he needs to expend, basically, at any given time. And I like something he says at one point. He's like, he says something like, when you're going slowly, you're more easily able to see what's ahead of you, essentially. Which was cool. And then he has his lightsaber, it was in his cane the whole time, which is cool.
That is
cool. See him do a little bit of lightsabering, which is always fun. I like a good hidden lightsaber.
Did Yoda have something like that for a while, or am I making that up?
Maybe. I feel like definitely somebody else had. Well, you know who it was? It was Maul had one in Rebels.
That's what it was.
When they first meet Maul, like, on Malachor.
Yeah.
Like, he's walking around with his cane, and the cane is like actually his lightsaber.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that was fun. It was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
Cool. Well, hold on. Where's the script? Lost the script. All right. Sam, what was your favorite part of this episode?
My favorite part. Oh gosh. I think this is a quick episode.
Yeah, it was a.
Yeah. I think my favorite part is, like, they're at the, like, it was when Ahsoka was chasing Cassie, I think that was her name, on the train, and, like, Ahsoka is just like, you know what, I'm gonna be patient. That's what Master Shinobi taught me, and she just kind of, like, waits, and then just as the train pulls into the station, the door opens, Snoopy's just, like, there. I'm like, what? Where'd you come from? Like, you crazy old man, how did you get here?
It was great. Yeah, and Ahsoka says something like, you know, for somebody who moves so slowly, you seem to always be one step ahead of me. And it's like, which is kind of the thesis. You know, which is great. Yeah,
so that was my favorite little part. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going to say just the whole chase sequence, the parkour sequence throughout Coruscant. That's always fun. Anytime we get to see people jumping around through the space city is fun. And it was just a good, fun chase. It was fun. MVP. I feel like clearly it's got to be Terrace Nube, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Snube. His only chance really to get, because he's dead later. That the next time we see him, he's in live action, but he's in a tank.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
But, yeah, definitely. I think an underappreciated character, definitely, and one that I would love to see come back in some form.
Oh yeah.
At some point, I don't know when, but, like, maybe in the Tales of the Jedi, like, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. No main character kills, no lost limbs, and no Wilhelm screams, as far as I know. More Star Wars is better Star Wars. How does this episode make the movies and the rest of Star Wars better, Sam?
I think it's like we get a little bit of just kind of world building, and we get to take a step back from the Clone Wars, get to know it, like get to see Ahsoka learn some valuable lessons, just kind of grow as a character, and also just meet some cool new characters. So it's just kind of like taking a step back from like the main storyline to have kind of an opportunity to dive deeper into just a couple characters and get to know them better. That was, I think, the best part.
Yeah,
and how it makes
agreed.
Star Wars better.
Definitely. Yeah. I thought it was interesting how like this whole episode is kind of building upon like that one line from Attack of the Clones where Obi-Wan's like, "This lightsaber is your life," and it's like,
oh yeah.
And then we hear like Ahsoka like repeat that again verbatim and say like, "Anakin says this to me all the time," and so we get to see kind of like, yeah, that lesson was passed down, you know, from Master to Padawan multiple times. But yeah, agreed on all other fronts, definitely. And then just Terrace Nube, fun, cool Jedi.
Oh yeah,
that we got to be introduced to. Hope he comes back at some point. That'd be cool.
I do too. That would be great.
But yeah. Well, that was our episode. It was a shorter one, which is always nice because we get to have time to do other cool things, especially this time because we have some bonus discussion to have because today's our last episode of 2023. Well,
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah. So it's been quite the year, Sam.
Yeah.
We've been podcasting for most of this year.
It started like in March, April, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that. We're 30 episodes in as of now, and we had a bunch of Star Wars stuff happen this year.
Did.
So I figured we'll just take a look back at kind of all the major Star Wars releases and things that happened this past year, and then we can get into some of our other things that we enjoyed from this last year. So yeah. So Star Wars in 2023. Firstly, we got The Bad Batch Season 2, which I loved. I love The Bad Batch. It's just such a fun show. And I'm glad that it's coming back for another season. I'm sad that it's going to be the last season, but I'm grateful that it's a thing. It's nice having, more Clone Wars, but in a different era, basically.
Yeah.
And with like a more kind of concentrated, like consistent cast of characters. It's good. It's a fun time.
Yep.
Then we got The Mandalorian Season 3, which was
That was this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So many things happened this year. Yeah. Rest in peace, Paz Vizsla. And yeah.
Gone but not forgotten.
Never forgotten. Never forget Paz. So we had that. That was a fun. I liked that season. Like just the whole like them returning to Mandalore and everything. There was a lot of really cool lore stuff and like, yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Then we had Star Wars Celebration Europe earlier this year. That was that was fun. A lot of cool announcements and previews of upcoming things and yeah, just exciting times.
Because that was right before Ahsoka came out, right? Like pretty shortly before.
No, that was a few months before. It was
okay, but it was before Ahsoka, right?
It was before. Yeah, we got we got like interviews. We got like new trailers and interviews with the cast and stuff.
That's right. That's
Celebration. Yeah, so that was like kind of the big lead up. And then like immediately after Celebration, Star Wars Jedi Survivor came out, the video game, which I loved. Was very good. Yeah, definitely a very good game, and I'm excited to see what the next game is going to be because it seems like it's probably going to be a trilogy because I mean it kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, not really a cliffhanger, but like definitely like it felt like the story wasn't done, sort of like this individual game like it ended satisfyingly, but like there's more to tell, and it very much feels like there's it felt like an Empire Strikes Back sort of situation where like it ends on a sad note, like sort of sad but hopeful. So it very much felt like the kind of middle of a trilogy. But yeah, great game. Was nominated for a bunch of awards, for a few awards at least at the Game Awards this year. I don't think it won anything, but anyway, awards
nominations are still good.
Yeah, it was great. Then we got Star Wars Visions Volume 2, which I still need to watch most of.
I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah. But again, our content is unlimited, so you can't really blame us for not watching everything.
Right.
But yeah, the ones that I did watch, I loved. There was the Aardman one. I watched that. That was delightful. And then I watched the one that was like the kind of cool painterly style one. That one was super cool. So yeah, at some point I'm definitely gonna go back and watch all of that. And then of course we got Ahsoka, which was the last big thing of this year, and like probably the most exciting in terms of like, at least the most important kind of lore wise in Star Wars. We got kind of the most like, I mean, just like the one episode with Anakin in it was incredible. Like, I mean,
oh my gosh,
overall it was a great season. I thought, we got a lot of amazing, like, we got reunions of Rebels characters, and we got some cool like Force stuff. We got some cool new villains, and we got Thrawn in live action, and we got Rex in live action, and young Ahsoka in live action, and we got Hayden Christensen as Clone Wars era Anakin, and just
live Dathomiri witches in live action, the Night Sisters, right?
Yeah, we very briefly got Dathomir. Yeah. Just so many cool things. Like I feel like of all the Star Wars stuff that came out this year, Ahsoka was at least the one that was most exciting.
It was my personal Star Wars highlight for the year. Mm-hmm. This podcast aside, was
unlimited content Ahsoka is the best Star Wars content you can get in 2023.
I agree.
Yeah. I thought I feel like it's been long enough that I don't, I'm kind of distanced a bit from both The Bad Batch and Mandalorian from this year. And so I don't 100% remember what my impressions were of them, other than I liked them, But like, I feel like Ahsoka was probably my favorite thing, and followed by probably The Bad Batch season 2, just because of all the, I don't know, that show just makes me happy. It's just fun and delightful. And I can't wait for the next season. So you'd say probably your favorite Star Wars thing from this year was Ahsoka, Sam?
I would have to say, Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm. And Mandalorian season 3 also had lots of
it was cool incredible
as well.
Yeah,
great.
That was my favorite Star Wars thing until Ahsoka came out.
Yeah, same probably.
Yeah.
And we got a cool Star Wars video game, and we got cool Star Wars animation, and just fun, good times. So that was our Star Wars. Sam, do you want to talk a bit about? Do we have any Instagram questions or memories? I think now would be a good time to talk about that. So
we do. Let me pull them up.
Yeah.
Before
we get into other non-Star Wars stuff, let's talk a little bit more about our first, not first year of the podcast, but the first year in which we had the podcast.
Right. Yep. All right. So I put out an Instagram story thing. Basically just said, what was your favorite episode and what do you hope to see in 2024? Our first response was from Grace.
Yeah.
And she said, I like the one with Padme and Bugs.
Yes.
I also like the one with Padme and Bugs. Mm-hmm. Jason said his favorite episode was the one where we had our dad on. Which that was definitely one of my highlights, was having Dad on the podcast.
Yeah.
But also having Cal on the podcast.
Yeah. I do want to talk briefly about just going back and talking about all the different guests we had, because So our first guest was Sarah, who we had on from Phantom Menace, and that was
my wife.
Yes. Would love to have her back on at some point.
Yeah.
Would love to have all of our guests back on at some point, because they were all super fun to have around. So we had Sarah on, and then just a couple episodes later, we had Max on for Attack of the Clones.
That was so much fun.
It was a brother palooza. It was fun. It was good, and we talked about bugs, and we talked about
that was Grace's favorite episode. Was the one that Max was on
with the bugs and Max.
With the bugs and Max.
I like how Gracie didn't mention the fact that Max was on that episode. She's just like, the one with the bugs.
Yeah, not the one with Max. The one with the bugs. I want bugs. I don't care about Max.
We love you, Max.
Bugs. We do. Unlike Grace.
Anyway, Gracie, do you want to be a guest next year?
Just gotta. Yeah, we'll get it on.
So that is we do have. We've got a few ideas for guests in the works, but one that who we know is definitely going to be our next guest is Gracie. So Gracie's going to be on pretty early next year. So I'm excited.
In the next episode or two.
Yep. Pretty soon. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And then let's see. We had. Actually, I'm going to look at the spreadsheet real quick just to make sure I'm going to get it in order, and B, so that I don't forget. Things. We got Andy. Andy was our next guest. We had him on for the Malevolence arc, and that was super fun having him on and getting to talk about, his history with Star Wars and his sort of fandom with things. It was also just like it was a really fun discussion of a really fun arc too. And we got to talk about how he got squirrel powers from being bit by a squirrel.
Andy did get squirrel powers.
Yes. Then we had our episode 16 was our live episode, our first in-person recorded episode where we had our immediate family on. So we had us two, but we also had Mom and Dad and Max and Gracie.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a good time. It was. Was it the
droid arc?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Downfall of Droid and Duel of the Droids.
That was a fun.
That was a fun. It was fun to have like the. I thought the mini game was fun. The medication Star Wars thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was proud of that one. And I feel like people enjoyed it. And it was fun having everybody else on and just being able to like chat with them and have, it opened up the conversation a little bit more from like, I like that it's the two of us most of the time because this is our thing, but it's nice to have just like it was nice to have a family affair,
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a family affair, but it was more family.
Yeah. More family than most.
True. Then we had Jason, who, of course, has been our most frequent guest appearance on the podcast in terms of voicemail and whatnot. But then we got him as an actual guest, and that was super fun to have him on. Of course. I imagine we'll probably get him back on again.
I would think so. I would be shocked if we did not.
Yeah. A couple of episodes after that, we had Dad on for his birthday.
Dad.
We got to hang out with Dad and talk about Star Wars and his history with Star Wars, and it was a fun time. Yeah, and that was the one with Senator Chuchi and and Chicho and
the worst.
And savages and
yeah, just like overt colonialism.
yeah. But that was fun having Dad on. I was thinking. I think I would love to have sometime next year have Mom on as a guest.
Yeah, Mom. What are you doing?
Mom and Gracie we have not had on as solo guests yet.
It's true.
So I feel like
fix it.
In like 3 years, assuming we're still doing the podcast, we should have Marion on when she's like 5. And
that'd be so much fun. I want to do like a Young Jedi Adventures, like watch through with Marion. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yes, that'd be great. I would love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That came out this year too. We got Young Jedi Adventures.
We did.
So
yeah,
delightful.
Marion loves that.
It's got the Marion seal of approval.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the very next episode after the Dad episode, we got Cal on. And that was tons of fun having him on talking weird philosophy stuff and
I learned about the Yuuzhan Vong. That was fun.
Yes, we talked about his Star Wars D&D campaign and his extensive knowledge of Legends lore and the Thrawn books, and it was super cool to have somebody on who clearly knows much more about Star Wars than we do.
In case y'all thought that we knew the most, we don't even know the most in our family about Star Wars.
Yeah. And then we said fuck a lot in that episode. That was fun too.
We did.
And then we didn't have any guests for that was our last guest of the year. Was back in September. Yeah.
Wow.
It was so we're gonna have to get back into the swing of things with guests next year. So because
I guess the holidays did start to pick up. We kind of like everyone got busy in like October, November.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to having more guests on because I feel like the guest episodes are. I mean, like it's always fun, And I think it's nice to have kind of a back and forth with like, you know, having some episodes that are just us and then some episodes that have guests on, because it enlivens the conversation a bit and
it does.
Gives us more, you know, stuff to talk about, and it's just fun and good. And then of course we had our first special episode. Just this previous episode, we had the Star Wars Holiday Special, which
I want to formally apologize for that. That was my idea, and do I regret it? A little bit. Do I not regret it? Also a little bit. Yeah, gotta put the past behind you.
Yeah, we're not watching that one again. So
no,
you know,
I will never watch that again.
And we have proof that we've watched it. So
yeah, I don't have to watch it again.
Exactly.
You can't make me.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. And now here we are, episode 30. We made it.
Wow, we did.
Yeah. The first episode put out on Pi Day, actually, on March 14th.
Wow.
So
that's when it released. Was the first one was on March, or when we recorded it?
No, it's when we recorded it the day before and then put it on the next day.
We were so much faster back then, man.
And there was a period of like 3 months where we were like 6 episodes behind or whatever. But now we're pretty much caught up at this point.
Yeah, we're like we got 2 episodes in the bank before we.
Yeah,
it used to be like 5.
Yeah, I like that we're more caught up now, because it was always it was kind of funny to me and like annoying to me that, like, you know, we would be like talking about like, you know, the most recent episode of Ahsoka, but it was like episode 2 and the series was already over, and I was like,
yeah, I was
like, you know, like
it was fun
speculating.
It was fun to like relive like the experience of watching it while like listening back to it when it came out. But yeah, I kind of do. I don't know. For the next Star Wars thing, hopefully we're also like still kind of just on a little more, like, that way we can kind of like release it like a little more timely. That's not at you or anything. I think you're doing a great job.
I get it. Yeah. I agree.
Just like,
I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, 2024, we're gonna have a lot of good stuff. I am excited about this next year of the podcast. We're hoping to get a lot more people on. Hoping to get Grace on. I know David, our cousin. We've told him that he's gonna be on the podcast at some point. We just need to like call him and get him on the calendar. It's like really all it is.
Basically,
it's just a matter of doing that. So David, I know you listen. We're getting you on the podcast sooner rather than later. It's gonna happen. Mark my words. Just text me. We'll make it work.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
And other cousins as well. I know Allie. I know they said they wanted to be on. So
that'd be great. Love to have Allie on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a fun, cool, exciting year. Also, we I guess another thing we did this year is we launched our merch store.
We did launch our merch store. Yeah,
it was a fun time. So many memories, so many exciting, fun things. This has been just like it's just been fun. It's been fun getting to hang out with my brother. It's been fun getting to talk about Star Wars and kind of learn a little bit more, like spend more time like in depth with this franchise, and kind of, you know, I feel like I have a different and kind of more like I have a greater understanding of kind of the overall narrative, like just like the fact that like there are, you know, characters that before this podcast I wouldn't really have remembered them, or like been able to connect, like, oh, this character from this episode is the same one from that episode. But now that we're like talking about it on a weekly basis, and like, you know, it's like I feel more kind of aware of and connected to like specifically the Clone Wars, you know,
right?
And yeah, so just enjoying that a lot. I'm
looking at. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've liked getting to experience the Clone Wars again, and all this other Star Wars stuff, obviously, as well. And it's also been fun. I mean, obviously, as it's ultimately, this is all an excuse for us to hang out more, and
precisely,
it's succeeded in that, I think.
It has.
It's been nice to be able to like to keep up with each other more kind of actively. Because we definitely like. I mean, I think just in general, in like modern society, especially in America, it's hard to like keep up with people and to like hang out with people, because it's like, you know, we live in a a country designed for cars and not for people, and we're all working at different times, and there's not like you have to make time to socialize, and I think having this this podcast has been a nice structured way for us to be able to stay in touch and socialize, and having it's helpful and fun. And this podcast has been very good for me. Yeah. Just like my mental health has benefited from this podcast. I've never felt closer to you than since we started recording this podcast. And that was kind of the hope, is I miss Jack. I want to spend time more with Jack. How can I, what's an excuse to just actively be with Jack more often? And podcast was the first thing I thought of. So I was let's do it. Why not? And so that really, this was just I want to be with Jack more. And this podcast was an excuse for me to be with Jack more. And I also, I also feel like this is kind of the first era of our lives where we are both, we're both adults, and we both are kind of we're not neither of us are going through huge life changes or anything. It's not one of us is in college or high school or whatever. We're at the point where we're both kind of basically stable, mature adults, and we can talk about things and look back on our lives. And I don't know, it's a nice our relationship is kind of different, but in a good way than it was before, because we are no longer growing up together, we are just experiencing adulthood. We're adulty adults now. We're adulty adults talking about Star Wars on the internet. Talking about things made for 9-year-olds. Here we are. Yay! 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 Yeah. Oh, Star Wars. I think it's also been nice for for our family and for our listeners. It's always nice to hear from people who are that they enjoy listening to the podcast, like Jason or David or whoever else. But I think especially for hearing from mom and dad, and I think it's nice that this is kind of a way that that you and I can keep in touch with each other, but also that kind of mom and dad and the rest of the family can kind of keep up with what are we up to without necessarily having to I don't know, it's just an easy way to do that, even when our lives are busy. We can kind of keep up with each other in that way. It's an extra perk, right. It is good. It is really, really good. Well Sam, do you want to talk a little bit about some non-Star Wars stuff from 2023? Sure. Oh wait, did we go through all the Instagram things? We did. Yeah. Okay. It was Jason just kind of spammed us with questions, and I kind of covered all of them without reading them verbatim. Yep. All right, cool. Yep. Cool. All right. Sam, you want to talk about some stuff that you liked from 2023? Some things that were fun to you, some things that were exciting to you. Yeah. I know you kind of structure it like you did for our kind of the outline in our script of stuff you've been reading, watching, doing, whatever. So I was so this movies I've seen this year that I really liked. Oppenheimer was amazing. Got to see Oppenheimer, and then Godzilla -1, its direct sequel. 2 of the best movies I've seen in a long time. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, those were really good. Yeah, because did you see Oppenheimer? I have not seen Oppenheimer. What? It was I have a weird relationship with movies now, in that it depends on the movie, and it depends on the day and kind of my mood, but I'm very easily affected emotionally by media, and so I kind of have to with my anxiety, I have to kind of be more conscious of what am I consuming and when, and am I in a kind of enough of a stable mental state to sure. Yeah. And then Oppenheimer came out, and I was it sounds great, and I'm sure it's very good, but well, I think it was Sarah that said something don't see this if you're anxious. Oh no, yeah. Yeah. I remember because we went to go see it while we were all in Dallas. The same weekend we recorded our first in-person episode. And Sarah and I went to go see it while Max saw Barbie, which was so much fun. And my Apple Watch gave me a high heart rate notification halfway through the movie. Yeah. Because I was so stressed out by the movie. But
it was because it was so riveting. It was like intense. Like it was just a very, very intense movie. Mm-hmm. But my watch was like, my Apple Watch was like, are you okay? Like you've been sitting down for 2 hours and your heart rate is over 120. Is everything okay? So, yeah, it is a stressful movie. I will say that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a movie I want to see at some point, and I definitely will. It's just a matter of like,
it's on Blu-ray now, so you can just get that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's also like more like that's better for me is watching movies at home. Like as much as I love the like the cinema experience, and I prefer to see things in theaters when I can. If it's something that I'm like, this might make me anxious or like depressed or something, I need to be able to watch this at home so that I can like be in a comfortable space and also like be able to pause and walk away if I need to and come back to it later. And so that's definitely what Oppenheimer will be for me, I think.
Sure.
But yeah. I got Godzilla -1, incredible. Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. Incredible. Yeah, we talked about it like 2 weeks ago, last week, something. I don't know. It was amazing. Yeah. Other things, Tears of the Kingdom came out this year.
Heck yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom came out like around the same time that we started recording the podcast. Or no, like a little bit after. Like we were like 3 episodes in. Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 episodes in when like we actually like got Tears of the Kingdom. I took up like a lot of my summer, which was it was so much fun. I just restarted playing it 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
I haven't left the Sky Islands yet because I've only played it for like probably 30 minutes. I'm skipping all the cutscenes, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
I need to get back into Tears of the Kingdom to like finish all the kind of the extra stuff, because there's so much like there's a bunch of the underground I still haven't finished exploring, and
yeah,
I definitely want to get back into it. Just like I was with the Game Awards this past week, and like everybody kind of looking back at the games of the year, and I was just reminded about like just how incredible a game Tears of the Kingdom is, and how like creative and cool, and like
it's so good.
Like especially with all like the building systems and like just like from a game development perspective, the fact that they were able to get this game to like function like just from a technical perspective is incredible.
Oh
like,
yeah,
with all the different interlocking systems, like the fuse mechanic and the time reversal stuff, and in addition to all the other systems that Breath of the Wild already had, like the like electricity and fire and explosives, and just it's an incredibly impressive technical achievement as well as a design achievement, and it's just so cool and creative, and like one of those games that just kind of keeps on giving, because it's like not only because it's such a huge game that's just like rich with interesting things to do and to see, but also because the systems themselves like lend themselves to providing basically endless opportunity for entertainment and replay, because you can come up with your own creative solutions to things, and that's so cool. Definitely a milestone game in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's so much fun.
Excellent.
So that's games I've been playing. It was really just Tears of the Kingdom. I got Battlefront 2 again, played that. A lot of fun.
Yes.
But that's really kind of it for video games for me. Not much time for video games. I wish I did, but I don't. The Rangers won the World Series. That happened this year.
That was neat.
That was amazing. Yeah, no, I smiled just thinking about that. Like it's so good. And also I'm like all like on Texas Rangers Twitter, everyone like, because a lot of Rangers fans are also Dallas Cowboys fans, and the Cowboys just like got embarrassed today. And so it's always fun, like anytime that like the Cowboys get embarrassed now, people just like, I feel sad, I'm gonna go rewatch the like highlights from the World Series, and like it's just like, yes, we get to watch the World Series again. So yeah, if I'm ever sad about Dallas sports, I just put my Rangers championship hat on and feel better about myself. I'm like, it's okay, we won the World Series this year, all is well. Yeah, so that happened. I started watching Supernatural, which has been a lot of fun. We're like halfway through season 5, I think now.
Jeez, how many seasons are there?
Like 12.
Yeah,
and they're like,
I knew it was long.
They're like long old school seasons, not like Netflix seasons.
It's like 24 episodes a season or something.
Yeah, 22, 24, something like that. It's a lot. Yeah, so watching that has been a lot of fun, and it's really intense, but like in a fun way, not like a oh, this is dark and scary and bad, even though it is about like demons and murder and shit. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So watching that, Ted Lasso season 3 came out this year, and I finally watched it. I don't know if it came out this year, but I watched it this year.
It came out this year, yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet. We watched it this year, and it was kind of the end of an era. Really, really good show. Loved that.
Agreed.
But that's kind of all I've been up to media-wise this year. It's just kind of been that sort of stuff. Jack, what about you? I know you have a much longer list on your thing than I do.
It's because I spend most of my time consuming media and also don't have a wife or child to take care of. So
that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So I'll start with movies. I just went back through my Letterboxd and kind of looked at all the movies that I watched this year. And these are the ones that came out this year that I watched that stood out to me. Tetris. I don't know if I remember talking about this. Did we talk about this on the podcast at all?
No, I forgot that was a movie until I saw you write in the script.
Yeah, so it was on Apple TV Plus, and it is a like dramatized retelling of the actual true story of basically the fight for the distribution rights for Tetris. And it's a really interesting story about like because it's like about kind of takes place around like just before the fall of the Soviet Union, and because Tetris was made by a guy, a Russian guy who lived in the Soviet Union and worked for the Soviet Union for at a government job, I think, and made the game just kind of on his work computer, and then it got distributed everywhere, and then eventually somebody it ended up getting distribution, and it's about basically this American guy negotiating with the Russians and with and with other. It's a fascinating movie. It's
that sounds really
it's
good.
Obviously it's very dramatized it over the top, but in a really fun way. But it's all actual events that happened. Some of it they embellished, obviously. There's a car chase that that didn't actually happen. But
I wish it did.
Yeah, but
cool.
The gist of it is all true, which is super cool. And all of the history of Tetris as a game is a really interesting. I have cool. Yeah, I have a graphic novel that's basically that tells the same story. It's and there's a, if you're interested, there's a basically a video essay online by a guy named who goes by the gaming historian, I think. And he has a video about Tetris and the history of Tetris and the fight for the rights, the international distribution rights, basically.
Sweet.
But it's a cool movie because it's you go into it's about the Soviet Union and the fall of that that society, but it's also about this guy and his him trying to make a good life for his family and his relationship with his wife and his daughter. And it's also about a really interesting point in video game history too. And there's a scene there's a very dramatic scene where the main character meets with some guys from Nintendo, and they unveil the original Game Boy to him, and it's sort of shown as this very dramatic this is a groundbreaking moment. They're unveiling Excalibur or something.
Yeah,
but it's
which I mean, the Game Boy was groundbreaking.
No, exactly. It definitely was. It's just it's
silly
exciting
that it's Game Boy.
It's just silly because it's a video game thing. But it's a very it's a movie that I end up really really liking, and it straddles the line very well between actual intense serious drama stuff and sort of more comedic over the top and it's all a true story, and it's super cool. So definitely recommend it if that sounds interesting to you.
It does. Not gonna when I saw that you put Tetris in there, I forgot entirely that Tetris was a movie, and it was just is this a sequel to that Pac-Man movie? It was really weird,
Pixels.
Yeah. That's where my mind went. I was is this that Pac-Man movie? But no.
Yeah, no,
it's not.
They adapted it they made a Battleship movie, except it's Tetris.
It's just giant squares falling out of the sky. Oh no!
Yes.
And then Godzilla shows up and saves us from the squares.
Yeah. That's the second sequel to Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Godzilla -2. Here we go.
Yeah. So yeah, and then most of the other movies I already kind of talked about at some point in the podcast, so I'm not going to go super deep into them. But
Cool.
Super Mario Bros. Came out this year, which was just a delight. And yet it's it has its downsides definitely, and it's very clearly like a
Chris Pratt movie.
It's a Chris Pratt movie, and it's a vehicle for advertising the Mario franchise more than anything else. But I loved all the attention to detail that they put into this. That like. It's definitely not up there with something like the Lego Movie, which is like I feel like the pinnacle of taking like what is very clearly an explicitly commercial endeavor to like sell products and turning it into something that is actually a super entertaining and fun and beautiful movie with a great story and characters and everything. Super Mario Bros. Is definitely not on that level, but I appreciated all the like just as a Nintendo nerd, all the kind of the Easter eggs and just it was just fun to kind of see those characters on the big screen animated in a really beautiful way for the first time. So very much appreciated that movie. Across the Spider-Verse, incredible. I'm amazing movie, one of my favorite movies probably, just incredible. And I'm hopeful that we'll get the third movie in the trilogy sooner rather than later. But we shall see. I will wait as long as it takes. And I if it takes another 3 years for them to make it without having to like crunch and like make their animators and VFX artists and whatever work overtime for months, I would be fine with that. With them not doing that.
Yeah,
I would prefer that. But yeah, incredible movie, highly recommended. It's incredible. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I love the modern Mission Impossible movies. Like the last 3 or 4 have all been amazing, and this is definitely, if not the best one, probably like the second best one in my opinion. I would say, like, because I loved Fallout. Fallout was probably my favorite one, which is the one before this one. And then this one was just just great cast. Haley Atwell is great in it. It was kind of a great new addition to the cast, and
I do like Haley Atwell. She's great.
Yeah, she's great. And the action sequences were, of course, incredible. The ending sequence on the train is amazing, and I think I mentioned this, but that sequence at the end of that movie is basically just the train sequence from Uncharted 2, like verbatim, basically.
Oh.
In a different setting, because like in Uncharted 2, it's like in a snowy place, but anyway, it's very good is the point, and it was delightful, and I will definitely be rewatching it at some point. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I've talked about that one as well, but great movie, and just I'm going to miss James Gunn in the MCU, but I'm excited to see what he does with the DC stuff. That's coming up. Just delightful, colorful, fun, funny movie, but also very like heartfelt and character driven, and beautiful movie. And then Godzilla -1, which we just talked about, and it was amazing, and like not at all a movie I like expect, like not a movie I knew much about, like up until like a couple weeks before it came out, and not something that I expected to end up being one of my favorite movies of the year. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think I had heard of it like before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and I saw it like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I went from hearing about it. I think I heard about it 2 weeks before I went to go see it. Mm-hmm. It was amazing.
Yeah. Incredible. That was movies for me this year. Shows. Real quick, Ted Lasso season 3. Agreed. It was super fun and just like a great show that I at some point I will definitely go back and rewatch that series, because it's just so it's super funny and smart, and also just like not cynical, and very like it's not cynical, but it's also like takes issues of like mental health seriously, and it's just a nice combination of things. So very much appreciated that show. My Adventures with Superman, I talked about that a bit before. That was just like the most surprising show for me this year. Just because I didn't, it was not something I had on my radar until like right before it came out. I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and then I watched it, and it was just a delight. was just a super fun show. It's a kind of a new, unique, and visually beautiful, like kind of new take on the Superman mythos and on those characters. And I love the kind of the like it's like both a rom-com and like a sci-fi mystery, and it's really cool.
That's
fun. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the next season whenever that comes out. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about was something that came out before we started the podcast, but this year, which is a documentary series called Double Fine Psych Odyssey, which Double Fine is a game studio.
Okay.
And they made the game Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2, which came out. Psychonauts 2 came out last year, I believe. And Double Fine Psych Odyssey is something like a 20-part documentary series about the making of the game. Like, they had a documentary crew, like, basically filming the whole process and interviewing people, and like it's the best like behind the scenes video game documentary I've ever seen. It's cool. Very in depth and very like fascinating, and you get to see kind of the trials and tribulations and the difficulties that come with game development, and with like you know, you get to see some of the business side, like during the course of the development of this game. Double Fine got acquired by Microsoft, and so you got to kind of see like, you know, the ways in which that like affected the studio, and you know, it gave them like financial stability for the first time, because they've been like an independent studio for as long as they've been around, which has like they make sort of like niche weird games. They're kind of like, they were founded by some former developers of LucasArts. So like
cool.
They like made like developers who worked on like The Secret of Monkey Island and some like classic point and click adventure games and stuff, and they kind of carried on that tradition at this independent studio. And so there's the side of it of like being acquired by Microsoft meant that they had, you know, they have a more financial stability, and like they don't have to worry so much about always like trying to find funding for their next game. But on the other hand, there's like, you know, some people in the studio who have like legitimate grievances with the fact that they are no longer independent, and that they are now beholden to this giant corporation. And you know, just to kind of seeing like you get to see a lot of like the actual development process, and like what it's like, you know, going through the development cycle for a big game. But you also get to see a lot of the kind of the human emotional side of game development, like the things that people love about it, and the things that are difficult, and the ways in which, you know, people's lives intersect with this job, and then the idea of like how do you balance making art that you love with making something that will make money and you know, allow you to support your family and survive. And you know, it's just it's a fascinating, very well done documentary series, and I loved it, and it was just super cool, and I definitely recommend it. And it's online for free on YouTube. They released it all for free.
Oh, sweet.
Because that's just what they do. Like they've done this for a few times before. They they released another documentary series a while back for their game Broken Age, which was a point and click adventure game, and it's like the same like documentary production house made it, but also another great series, and they've done like a couple of one-off things as well. And anyway, yeah, so just Double Fine Psych Odyssey is what it's called, and it's excellent, and I definitely recommend it. So that's shows. I have a lot of things to talk about. I will move through the next ones a little bit faster. Yeah,
busy boy.
I'm a busy boy when it comes to consuming media.
It is what you do.
Okay. All right. Real quick, video games that came out this year that I enjoyed. Metroid Prime Remastered. That was cool to finally get to play that game. Excellent remake. Looks amazing. Like even the original, like just on the GameCube, looks like visually like ahead of its time. You know?
Yeah.
And now that the Switch version came out, it looks. It shows how much it holds up, but also it just like, you know, it's in HD now and it's beautiful and it's great. Excellent game. Resident Evil 4 got a remake that was super fun. I played Resident Evil 4, the original one, like a few months before this one came out, and so it was interesting to kind of play those back to back. And it was like, playing the original and then getting like a shiny extended cut version of the same game, basically. But it was fun. It was fun and cool and good. The murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Do you know about this, Sam?
You mentioned it. Yeah.
So yeah,
remind our listeners.
Yeah, this is a free visual novel that came out on April Fool's Day this year, but it is an actual full visual novel developed by Sega about it. The premise is that it's Amy's birthday and they're doing like a murder mystery party on a train, and Sonic is quote unquote murdered and they have to figure out who did it, but then it turns out like there's an actual mystery involved, and like the train is like a robot. And anyway, it's super like it's a free game that they just put out just because, and it was delightful and fun and very like kind of self-aware, but also just like a really like fun, beautiful little treat for Sonic fans. And it was a very nice surprise, I'll say. It was delightful. So yeah, continuing with the Sonic love today. Gosh,
nice.
The murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, very fun. Definitely recommend it. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, obviously that came out, and I already kind of talked about that. Tears of the Kingdom, amazing.
Yes.
This didn't come out this year, but I played it this year. Power Wash Simulator, which of course I've regaled you with the saga of Power Wash Simulator already, but
it's worth every second of the regalement.
It was delightful. It was another like delightful surprise for me. Like it came out last year, but I didn't play it until this year, and I was like, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it and how much like cool like funny writing is in it, and and it's like there's still more like extra bonus levels that I haven't played yet, and they just actually like a couple days ago came out with a free bonus level that's like you're cleaning Santa's workshop for the Christmas season.
So fun.
So I'm probably gonna play that at some point.
Yes.
So, and then of course I'll probably come back talking about more Power Wash Simulator next year when I inevitably end up playing the SpongeBob DLC and the Back to the Future DLC.
Good.
So
Good.
That'll be great. Viewfinder is that cool puzzle game with the
that is a cool
mechanic
game. Yeah.
that I told you about. Finished that, loved it. Excellent, super creative, fun, inventive, delightful experience. Loved that. Highly recommended. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, also super fun and wonderful. And yeah, already talked about that one. Spider-Man 2, also great. Another banger from Insomniac Games. Love that. I'm still like, I'm working on the platinum for that one, working on 100%ing it. Just like finishing all the side missions and stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I was playing it just a little bit yesterday, and I'm like, just because I wanted to swing around New York City, because it's just a fun like kind of chill thing to do, to just like, because the swinging in that game is just so like relaxing and smooth and fun and just feels good. So it's like a good kind of like zone out thing if I'm just like sitting and I just want to like, I don't want to think about anything, but I want to like do something with my hands, and I'll just like, I'll boot that up. And I made a Spotify playlist called Songs to Swing To that I'm just like, just songs to listen to while I'm swinging through the city. Just fun and nice. And then the biggest surprise of the year, which is especially surprising given that this is the year that we got the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
The biggest surprise to me was Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm not done playing it, but I'm like 70 hours in. I'm like at nearing the end of Act 2 right now. But it is like not a game that was really on my radar. Like I knew vaguely that it was coming out because they had like shown a couple trailers for it in like gaming press conferences at E3 or whatever over the last few years, and I was like, yeah, it looks interesting. I'm sure some people are gonna love that, because I knew Baldur's Gate was like a pre-existing franchise that had a lot of love, but I didn't really know much about it. And then Baldur's Gate 3 came out and got just phenomenal reviews and got like a higher Metacritic score than Tears of the Kingdom did, and I was like, okay, maybe I should try this. And then I played it, and I finally like, once I like gave myself like the time to actually get into it, I fell in love with it. And it's like, I'm not done with the game, but I can pretty definitively say this is one of my favorite games ever. It's
awesome.
It is incredible, and I was just thinking about it the other day about like how long is going to be until we get another game that like even like approaches what Baldur's Gate 3 did. Just because the level of like, I mean, my understanding of this genre of games, of like of CRPGs, computer RPGs, is like not. Yeah. I haven't played a lot of them, so I'm not like super familiar with the genre. But my impression is that Baldur's Gate 3 didn't do a ton like of new stuff, but what they did was just like make the best possible version of that kind of game, and just polish it so much, and like
and it sounds like the scale at which it was done as well.
Yes,
was nuts.
Just gigantic, and also everything about it is quality. Which is a hard balance to strike, definitely, right. and it's especially impressive given that the studio that made it, Larian, is an independent studio, and so this is technically an indie game. Baldur's Gate 3, because they developed it themselves and also published it themselves. So it's not like they're not like doing it through like another publisher. They just like put it out on their own, and it's become like a cultural phenomenon, and a critical darling, and it won Game of the Year, and
it's
just it's incredible. And it's been in development for many years, and they finally got it out, and people love it, and I love it, and I'm gonna keep playing it. And then once I beat it, I'm probably gonna go back and play it again with a different kind of character and make different choices. And it's incredible. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's all my media stuff. Real quick before we move ahead to what we're looking forward to in 2024. Sam, was there anything that like happened this year, outside of like your media consumption, something that like you are particularly proud of, or that you look back upon fondly about, like, this was something that you were proud of or excited about or liked about your experience of living in the world this year?
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. The only thing I think of that I want to talk about on the podcast, if I'm being honest, is Marion. Marion's getting so big, and I'm just so proud of her.
Yeah.
She's gonna be 3 in a few weeks.
No.
And like, just getting really chatty and smart and creative, and she's just the sweetest kid, and but she's also just like spunky, and I don't know, like I love her.
That is delightful. Yeah, I love whenever I get like videos from you guys of just like Marion doing something. I'm like, she's so big, and she's so like a person now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I feel like this year is like the year she This year is the year that she definitely she went from like feeling like a baby to feeling like a person. Was this year. She's just like creative and imaginative and sweet, and like now like in the morning, like when I get her up, because she usually wakes up right before I leave for work, while I'm like getting her dressed and breakfast, and I'll ask like, did you have any dreams yesterday, like overnight? And she'll like tell me like, yeah, I dreamed about this, and it was blah blah blah, and it was really cute. Like we got her this, Sarah and I put together this like advent, like Sarah put together the advent calendar I'm doing it with her, of like every other day we're giving her like a new like Christmas book or something, just to kind of get her in like the Christmas spirit, because this is the first year that like we get to do like Santa Claus and all that fun stuff with her.
She's conscious for it.
Yeah. But we got this one book, I forget what it's called, but the premise of the book is that there's a cat named Slippers that sneaks into Santa's bag when he's dropping off presents and kind of stows away on the sleigh, and they find him, and they like discover the cat at the workshop and like up at the North Pole and stuff. And so, but Marion, like we read that book right before we went to bed, and then she had a dream about Slippers, and that Slippers was one of the cats, like the stray cats in the neighborhood that me and Sarah feed on our front porch. And her like favorite stuffed cat was also one of the cats on the front porch. So, like Slippers and her cat Duchess, became best friends on our front porch, and like just this little like creative little kiddo. She's the best.
She's delightful.
She is.
What a wonderful human being.
Big fan.
Big fan of that daughter of yours.
Yeah, my daughter. I love her.
Girl dad.
Girl dad.
Excellent. Well, that's amazing.
What about you?
I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for Mary, and I'm happy for Sarah. Let me see. I think this year, I think my biggest accomplishments this year were just like therapy and like kind of like going to therapy and all the like, because I just a few weeks ago marked like a year of being with my current therapist, and
nice.
I feel like I talked about this. I've probably talked about this some before, but like this is the first therapist that I've had where like I've been in a place in my life where I'm able to like all my past therapists were like helping me to figure out how to survive the moment that I was in, and like trying to, you know, learn how to cope with the anxiety in the moment while I was like, you know, trying to get through college or trying to like, you know, find a job or whatever. And, you know, transitioning from college to adult life. And now that I like have a full-time job and I'm able to pay for things myself and I'm like stable, this has been kind of the first time I've been able to have a therapist where like, you know, I'm going into it with the intent of figuring out kind of the root of things and like working on myself as opposed to like just coping mechanisms, you know.
Yeah.
And it's been definitely very difficult at times, but it's all been really rewarding, and I feel a lot better about kind of my understanding of myself and my needs, and yeah, and I'm looking forward to continuing to doing therapy and kind of trying to grow as a person and gain more confidence and kind of figure out, you know, what do I want my life to look like and how do I get there, kind of. Yeah, so that's been really good. I've as difficult as that's been at times, it's all been for the better, you know. So so there's that, and then the other thing is my weight loss process.
Yeah, dude.
Which has been great. Yeah, I started my like current weight loss journey like not this past February, but the one before. So it's been like almost 2 years now. And I'm looking up real quick what my... Okay, so I started this year at 323 pounds and last weighed in at about 276.
Dang.
So I'm about like 80 pounds ish.
That's huge, dude.
From when I started, and I'm sorry, from when I like, not this year. I didn't lose that many pounds this year. I lost that since I started, because I started at 361, and so 361 to 276, I'm like 80, 85 pounds ish.
That's like 95. That's 95 pounds.
Is it from 361 to 276?
I think so. No, maybe you're right.
It's like 85.
Math's not mathing today. Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm a little burnt out on math right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I ended up losing a bunch more weight this year, which has been...
That's great.
Nice, and you know, obviously good for my health, and also, you know, a confidence booster. And you know, I don't know. Again, it's like I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to continue losing weight, but I'm just gonna, you know, appreciate what I get, and you know, yeah, and alongside that has come like I've gotten kind of, I've paid more attention to like the way that I dress and trying to find clothes that fit me properly, and I've kind of like a combination of like my weight loss and therapy has led to me kind of having a new like a kind of a new understanding of like how to dress, and the idea that like I think for a long time I've had this like sense of like of shame about my body and the way that I look, and you know, I think the primary purpose for clothing in my mind for a long time has been to hide as much of myself as possible, and that has led to me like, you know, mostly wearing like baggy clothes, because I don't, you know, if it's more form fitting, then it's like you're seeing the shape of me more, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but now that I'm like, you know, that I've lost some weight, but also that I like, you know, have been kind of working on some things mentally and emotionally, I'm like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I came to a new understanding of like, oh, I there's a difference between like clothes should fit you well, and there's a difference between clothes fitting you well and clothes like covering all of you. You know, that's not like I'm doing my best to wear clothes that are like a little bit more form fitting, basically, and kind of trying to be more confident about like changing my approach from like I'm trying to hide my body from people to I am dressing in a way that is most comfortable for me, and and the way that people look at me is not like the primary purpose of what clothes I wear. That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. So just a lot of like self-confidence, self-worth, like body image stuff working on this year that
that's great, man.
Still very much in the process of working through, but like I'm happy with the progress that I've made this year, and I'm optimistic about going forward, so
yeah, dude, I'm really happy for you. I'm really proud of all the progress you made, and you seem more confident, you seem happier, and that makes me happy.
Yeah. And also I think honestly part of that is the podcast, like being like weirdly I'm like more used to my own voice, so I'm less self-conscious about like my voice now that I've heard it so many times. I'm just like, yeah, that's what I sound like, whatever. But also there's just now that I have like on record kind of like I can go back and listen to myself having a conversation with someone and being like, oh, I can hold a decent conversation with people and be relatively engaging, and like that's kind of it's like as kind of served as a reminder to me of like, yeah, no, I'm like socially capable, like when I deal with a lot of like social anxiety and like I said, kind of confidence issues, and like it's been kind of a confidence booster to have this podcast and to listen to it and to do it with you, and also to have like other people listen to it and say that they've enjoyed it, and it's just and it's also just nice to have like a thing that I've made under my belt, to, like, because another thing that I've kind of thought about a lot this year is the idea of like making things as being an act of self-care for me, of like it's an important part of my like existence and being healthy, in the same way that like eating well and making sure that I eat every day and taking my meds and exercising, all of those are like things that like improve me and my health and like keep me stable. Making things is also part of that for me, and like being creative, and this has been a nice outlet to like have something that like, even if I'm not working on anything else, I at least consistently have this thing that I can come back to, and like even if it's something as simple as like I want to make a new t-shirt design because that's fun, or and part of it is also like the fact that this has been a good outlet for something like a creative outlet that doesn't feel like there's any pressure on it, because there's an acknowledgement that we're doing it for fun and for the sake of socializing, and not for the sake of like I'm making this so that I can add it to my portfolio and get a job doing this,
right.
I'm not monetizing this, I'm it's just for fun. And I think that's something that I have long had difficulty doing, is like doing creative work without the assumption or the intention of like monetizing it, essentially, and just like creating for the sake of creating and the joy of it, and I think this has been a nice outlet for that. So
yeah, it's been a good year.
So that was our 2023, but let's take a little bit of time to look ahead to 2024 and what we're going to be getting this next year that we're looking forward to. First of all, in the realm of Star Wars, stuff we're getting this upcoming year, we're probably getting, assuming they don't like delay stuff. The Acolyte is coming out this year. The Bad Batch Season 3, Tales of the Jedi Season 2, and Star Wars Outlaws, the new video game. It's like big open world game where you play as like a scoundrel, like a Han Solo type. That looks really fun. Andor Season 2, maybe next year, but probably 2025.
Probably January, February 25, I think.
Yeah. And then new Star Wars movie starts filming. Is that the Rey one?
It is the one featuring Rey.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So that starts filming next year, which is rad. And then I was just looking through like Wikipedia, like they have like an article for like each year. Like here are all the things the notable Star Wars things that happened in whatever year, and they have one for 2024 already to like look ahead. And this upcoming October will be the 10th anniversary of Star Wars Rebels.
Ooh.
Which is exciting. Love that show. Love that show so much. Among those things, are any of them like something that you're particularly looking forward to, Sam?
The Acolyte, I think, is maybe out of the ones that are confirmed coming out this year, what I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
I mean, Tales of Jedi Season 2, obviously, is going to be a lot of fun. But, like, I don't know, The Acolyte, just, like, getting some, like, prequels, almost High Republic era kind of stuff in live action is going to be a lot of fun. This will be, like, we're going to have to, like, circle back and, like, talk about The Acolyte, because it's going to be live action, canon, but, like, we'll have already missed it in the timeline because it's not out yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we already talk about stuff as it comes out anyway. So it's not like,
But, like, if we want to, like, do full-on episodes on it.
Yeah. I'm sure, if we ever get to, like, The Rise of Skywalker, then we'll, like, I mean, then we'll watch the Daisy Ridley movie, and then we can, like, circle back to whatever we've missed.
Okay, that works for me.
In 6 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In an unlimited amount of time.
Unlimited. Yeah. I think probably agreed. Yeah, The Acolyte sounds very cool. I think for me, just because I love it so much, The Bad Batch Season 3 is probably what I'm most excited for. It brings me so much joy, that group of characters, and I'm excited to see how they, like, wrap up the story of these guys. Yeah,
because it ended on such a huge cliffhanger and big reveals. And
they were literally hanging from something for a while.
They were.
At the end of until they weren't. Sorry, Tech.
Tech's coming back. He's got it.
I hope so. Even if they Winter Soldier him, I'd be fine with that. I'd want Tech back. Yeah. Very excited for that. Very curious to see what Star Wars Outlaws is going to be like. It looks very good from what we've seen so far. It looks definitely visually beautiful. I just hope it's a good game, you know? So that'll be interesting. And then, of course, Andor Season 2, whenever we get that, that'll be probably the best Star Wars thing that comes out that year. Because
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's Star Wars in 2024, as far as we know. All right. Real quick, let's go through just like a quick list of all the other media that's coming out this year that we're excited for and whatnot. Do you want to go first, Sam?
You can start. I'll wrap it up.
Okay. So first of all, movies. I just went down, like, there was like a Rotten Tomatoes article that was like all the most anticipated movies of 2024 or whatever. I was like, okay, I'll look through these and see which ones I'm interested in. First of all, Kung Fu Panda 4. Did you know that there's going to be another Kung Fu Panda?
I didn't.
They're bringing it back, and I loved all those movies. They're all very good. And you can't go wrong with Jack Black, so I'm really excited for that. Yeah, it's excellent. So I will most undoubtedly see that. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is the Mad Max Fury Road prequel that's coming out this year. With Anya Taylor-Joy as younger Furiosa, and it's gonna be super cool, I assume, because Mad Max Fury Road is one of the best movies ever made, and
I think Chris Hemsworth basically is Fat Thor. It's gonna be it.
Yeah, that's what he looks like. Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, so very much looking forward to that. Like, curious to see how that pans out. Inside Out 2 is coming out, which I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but like the first Inside Out is definitely one of the better Pixar movies of the last several years.
Oh, it's really good.
Like, yeah, really, really good. Pixar's definitely been like hit or miss for quite a while now, I feel like. Yeah. But like Inside Out was definitely a hit. Oh,
a movie that I saw this year that I didn't include, that I forgot about because it's a kid's movie, so I didn't think about it. But it's a Pixar movie, Elemental. Did you ever see that movie?
I did not. I'm aware of it, I haven't seen it.
It was really good.
Yeah?
It was a really good movie. Yeah, it was like, it got into like family drama and like also like a big old societal commentary, like our people don't mix with those people kind of thing. Like got like socioeconomic stuff and like struggles of immigrants and like in a new country and like that kind of stuff. It was like, it was a tearjerker, man. It was really good. Cool. You'd like it.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, because Marion loves it, but also me and Sarah love that movie. It's really good.
Great. That's always great when you get a kids movie that's great for everybody. Yeah, which used to be Pixar's bread and butter, and now is maybe not always, but
sometimes. Elemental, one of them.
Yeah, remember the period of like 15 years where like Pixar made nothing but bangers, and then they made Cars 2, and Cars 2 is kind of what did it. Yeah, and anyway, That's cool. Yeah, Inside Out 2, Deadpool 3. Very excited to see how that pans out, and like, because this is the first Deadpool since Marvel acquired Fox, and it's going to be MCU Deadpool, or
it looks like Deadpool kills the Fox universe. Is what it kind of what all the leaks make it look like.
Which sounds amazing. I'm very excited for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so very much looking forward to that. This is a movie I did not know about until I was looking down this Rotten Tomatoes list earlier today. But this movie coming out next year called Transformers 1, which is apparently an animated movie prequel taking place on Cybertron that is about like the Transformers on Cybertron before any of the like I don't know if it's actually even in the same universe as the live action movies, but it's going to be a new animated movie which I'm so excited for. That's like all I've ever wanted from a Transformers movie is like give me like beautifully animated Transformers, but like on Cybertron, and it's just the Transformers and not like human people. Not that I have anything against the idea of that or of it being on Earth or whatever, but like the stuff that I love the most is the robots. So like so that sounds rad, and I'm hopeful that one's good, because that sounds amazing. The opening like 5 minutes of Bumblebee, where it's on Cybertron and it's just all of them in their like Gen 1 designs, and it's fully animated, and that's my favorite Transformers movie is those 5 minutes. And then my second favorite Transformers movie is the rest of Bumblebee. Anyway, the Joker sequel is coming out next year, which is it's going to be a musical and Lady Gaga's in it, and that's really all I know.
I don't know.
So it'll be interesting, just at least. Yeah,
I'll see it when it comes on streaming. Because I liked the first Joker one, but it was also like really dark, and it made me feel things I didn't want to be feeling. And I'm like, it's I can tell that this is like a work of art, but also it makes me feel sad, and I don't want to watch this right now.
Yeah, I get that. And also, I don't know, it felt very kind of like self-indulgent and like kind of artsy for the sake of being artsy, and not like
it kind of seemed like it was like Oscar
it was more style than substance, kind of.
Yeah,
in a way. But yeah, so the Joker 2. Another movie I didn't know about, but it is apparently coming out this year. The Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. I'm not well versed enough in Lord of the Rings lore to know how that's pronounced. But apparently there's going to be an animated Lord of the Rings movie coming out next year.
I like that.
Which is what that is. So that sounds cool.
I like that.
I don't actually think I'm looking forward to this, but I'm interested to see how it turns out. There's a movie called Mufasa: The Lion King, which is a prequel to the live action Lion King about Mufasa. Apparently. So,
why?
I don't know.
Does Disney just like want to continue to just milk IPs for as much as they're worth? I mean, to be fair, the live action Lion King made a buttload of money. Like over $1 billion, buttload of money. So it makes sense that they're like, Beyonce and John Oliver were in it. That's why.
yeah. People just saw the Lion King movie for John Oliver. That's what they saw it for. Yeah. Maybe my most anticipated movie of next year. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming out next year, and it's going to have Shadow the Hedgehog in it.
I love it. I kind of wish they had saved Knuckles for Sonic 3, because they could have just been Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Would have been great. That's true. Should have done it. Lack of foresight on their part. Lame.
Yeah. My one, like, I mean, I'm gonna see it regardless, and I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy it regardless, because the first two have been super fun, and
I haven't seen the second one
have Shadow in it.
Yeah.
The second one is better. The first one is a good movie, but the second one
one's better than the first one?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's got more like stuff from the games in it, and Tails is in it, and Knuckles is in it, and they're all great. And there's more like fun action sequences, and there's a giant robot, and it's like and Supersonic's in it, and so it's got all the things that like the first one kind of laid the groundwork, and the second one is like, this is the Sonic movie I wanted, basically.
Got it. Cool. So is it on Hulu or something? Or
I don't know. I have it on 4K because I bought it.
Of course you do. I love you. So, I love that.
I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I'm going to enjoy it regardless. My biggest hope is that please include some Crush 40 music in this movie. I need some Open Your Heart
and giant gun trucks.
Yes, give me the giant gun truck and
the snowboarding down San Francisco.
Yeah, give me Live and Learn or something. Just give me. I need some Crush 40. There's too much good Sonic music that you haven't used in these movies that you need to. And now that Shadow is going to be in it, you have to take some stuff from like Sonic Adventure 2 and put it in there, please.
Yeah,
please.
Or even like from
in the world,
or even like the random like I don't know, like late 90s rap songs that are like for Knuckles. You don't want those.
Pumpkin Hill. Yeah. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my muscles. That's what he said.
It's so dumb. I love it so much.
Speaking of which, skipping ahead real quick to TV, there's going to be a Knuckles series.
What?
There's on Paramount Plus, there's going to be a Idris Elba as Knuckles is coming back for a live action series. That's a spin-off of the movies. It's called
so
Knuckles. So I'm very excited for that. I don't know at all how it's going to turn out, but I'm going to watch it because it's
trash, but it's
a show about Knuckles with
money.
Idris Elba, so I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's amazing. And then Beyond the Spider-Verse might come out next year, but it might be delayed because of the writer's strike and all the other stuff, and also they crunched the last movie, and so hopefully they won't do that for this one. So if it doesn't come out for another couple of years, again, I would not mind. And then I'm trying to remember, does the next Mission Impossible movie come out next year? I think it does.
For your sake, I hope it does.
Yeah, so I don't die. Yeah,
that's the one.
Let's see. No, it comes out in 2025. Yeah. This is weird. On Wikipedia, it says, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 released in July 2023, and an untitled 8th film scheduled for release in May 2025. What do you think it's going to be called? What do you mean untitled? It's going to be Part 2. What are you talking about? Anyway, whatever. Why is it not? What do you mean it's not titled? Anyway, whatever. So yeah, some movies. Those are movies. TV, real quick. The Penguin. This is going to be
That looks cool.
Yeah, this is gonna be a TV series on the artist formerly known as HBO Max. About it's a spinoff of the Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson as Batman. And it's gonna have it's gonna have. You haven't seen it? It's so.
I don't know how I haven't seen it yet, but I need to see it.
It's incredible. It's my favorite Batman movie since The Dark Knight. It's very, very good. I love it. And it's gonna have the Penguin from that movie come back as who is it? I can picture his face.
It's Colin Farrell, right?
Colin Farrell, yes, yeah. Colin Farrell looking nothing like Colin Farrell because of all that makeup. But there's going to be like the Penguin series with that version of the Penguin in that Batman universe. So I'm very excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic for Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is the Netflix
show?
is putting out a live action Avatar series, which, of course, the last time we had a live action Avatar thing, it didn't work out well. This one looks like visually it looks really good. It looks like they cast it really well. They nailed the visuals of it. I am hopeful that it kind of retains the spirit of the original show, that it has that it's well written and the characters are fun and they don't lose the sense of humor, and there's a lot of things that could go wrong with it, but I love Avatar so much that I of course hope that it is good. Fallout. This show looks really, really good.
Really?
There's a show based on the Fallout video game series that's coming out next year on Amazon Prime, and it is being run by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, who Jonathan Nolan is Christopher Nolan's brother and has done a bunch of he co-wrote a bunch of movies with Christopher Nolan, but also has been a showrunner for several shows. Like he did Person of Interest, which is I think a super underrated sci-fi show. And he and Lisa Joy, who I believe they're like partners, like they're married. They did Westworld.
Okay.
And now they're doing Fallout. And based on the trailer and all the preview stuff they put out so far, it looks very, very good. Like they absolutely nailed the look of the games, but also it seems like tonally they really nailed it, which is really important for Fallout because it's like it definitely seems like the kind of thing that they could just like make a very serious post-apocalyptic thing, but like Fallout, part of it is like that the whole thing is a satire and it's got a lot of like dark humor in it, and if you don't like have that kind of absurd humor in it, that then it doesn't feel like Fallout. And it looks like, at least based on the trailer, that they did a really good job of it. So I'm very excited for that, and I'm optimistic that it'll be good. And like it's fascinating to me how much of a better like I feel like the video game movie curse, quote unquote, is kind of broken now with like, I mean, we got Detective Pikachu, which was great. We got the Sonic movies, which have been really good. We got the Last of Us TV series. We're getting this. We got the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which was decent. It's just like we're getting all sorts of like good video game adaptations these days, and it looks like this is going to be the next great one, I hope. Knuckles, I already talked about. Love that. And then there's apparently going to be, speaking of Haley Atwell, there's going to be a Tomb Raider animated series called Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft, starring Haley Atwell as Lara Croft.
Oh, cool.
That sounds neat. I think it's on Netflix is what it's going to be.
Nice.
So that's cool. I'm interested to see what that ends up being. So that's TV and games. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is the second installment of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, basically. So they Final Fantasy VII is for those that don't know, is one of the most popular and influential RPGs ever made. It came out in 1997 on the PS1, and it basically popularized the role-playing game in the West. Because it used to be like very much a kind of Japanese thing. That it was much more popular and much less popular in the US, but then Final Fantasy VII came out and kind of changed everything and became super popular, and it's still one of the most beloved games ever. One of the best soundtracks to any game ever, still. Incredible. And there's been, for many, many years, people have wanted a modern remake of that game, because as great as that game is, it definitely, it's early PS1. The graphics are very not good, very blocky.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is like, not great, and it's poorly translated, and, just all sorts of like, people want to see that world, but more fully realized in like a modern way. And so a couple years ago, they came out with Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is an adaptation of the first like third of the original game. And so basically what they're doing is like, rather than remaking it as one game, they're making it a trilogy, like adapting and expanding upon the original game. And so far it's been very, very good. And the next one looks very good. And it's also exciting because it's like not just a remake, it's like a reinterpretation, and some of the events are different. And so it's like, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. It's like all the same characters in the same universe and mostly the same events, but like with a bunch of like added stuff, and also some like weird kind of like almost like meta fourth wall breaking twists about like the changing fate, and like it's super interesting.
Yeah.
And it's these games are, the director of these games is Tetsuya Nomura, who is the creative director for the Kingdom Hearts series. So they have some stuff in common there. Like combat is kind of similar, and anyway,
cool.
Yeah, excited for that. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is the first new Prince of Persia game in quite a while. It's a 2D side-scrolling Prince of Persia game, and it looks just real fun. It's just like it's very stylish, and the combat looks cool, and it's kind of like kind of came out of nowhere. It was announced a few months ago, and it's coming out in like January or February, and it looks like it's gonna be real fun. So I'm excited for that. Pacific Drive is I think it's from an indie studio, and it is a like sort of like a survival horror game that takes place in like a weird like sci-fi post-apocalypse where you're like driving through the woods and in like a station wagon basically, and the goal of the game is like you're like making your way through these woods and surviving. Like you stop in garages and like you upgrade your car and like add different attachments onto it. And it's all in first person. It looks like a really unique, interesting game, and it looks like something that's could be right up my alley. So I'm excited for that. Princess Peach Showtime. We talked about that a while back, but it's a new Peach game, which just the fact that Peach is getting a game is cool.
Great.
And it looks like it's gonna be fun. Hades 2 is coming out, or at least it's coming out in early access this year, which so it might not get a full release this year, but excited for that because Hades is an amazing game, and Supergiant, the studio that makes it, just makes nothing but great games, and this one, from what they've shown so far, it looks very good, and I'm excited. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake is coming out, so not much to say about that, except I'm excited to be able to play through that myself for the first time. Star Wars Outlaws we already talked about.
Yes.
The Plucky Squire is a like cool, it's like a storybook sort of like, it's like a Zelda style game that takes place partly in a storybook and partly in the real world, where like the character comes out of the pages and like walks around in like a child's bedroom, and it changes from like 2D illustration to like 3D like claymation sort of.
Oh,
and
cool.
It looks like it's really cool and creative and fun. So that looks cool. The Wolf Among Us 2 is going to be like the second season of the Telltale series based on the Fables comic series. And the Wolf Among Us, the first season was very good. I enjoyed that a lot. And then World of Goo 2 was just announced recently. And World of Goo, the first one, it's like a weird puzzle game that came out like maybe 15 years ago or something. And it was like one of the early like really successful indie games. And it's getting a sequel and it looks really good.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's all the video games. I'm done talking about things. Sam, tell us what you're looking forward to, and then we'll wrap up this episode.
Oh, man. First thing I'm looking forward to is baseball coming back. I miss baseball already. Bring me back baseball. Hopefully the Rangers are back. Yeah, it's so good. I miss it. Bring back baseball. Back in, preseason spring training stuff starts usually like late February, so it's not too far off. But then the real, like, the games that count start end of March. So looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to Deadpool 3, Deadpool Kills the Fox Universe. I'm excited about that. Beetlejuice 2 comes out in 2024, which will be a lot of fun. They're getting like the original cast back. And then they're making a sequel to Twister called Twisters.
You're calling it Twisters.
They're calling it Twisters. And
Twister.
Yeah, too fast, too twisty. I am very excited about that because
I've never seen Twister.
It's so much fun. It's like a B horror movie about a tornado, but also storm chasers, and also kind of like has kind of a Michael Crichton movie vibe to it. Cool. Because it's all about like scientists and there's a lot of sciencey jargon, but it's also like very action packed and all the actors are beautiful. So it's kind of how it goes. Yeah.
You've always been into storm chaser stuff.
I have, until like up through high school, I wanted to be a storm chaser. It's like that was my, like, if you asked me like in second grade what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would have said storm chaser.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm excited about Twisters. I'm excited to get to start reading some more Star Wars books. I got Star Wars Aftermath, and apparently there's a whole trilogy, so I'm gonna hopefully get to read some of that. And also I want to get into the High Republic Star Wars stuff a little bit too. I have Light of the Jedi on paperback sitting on my bookshelf right now. I listened to half the audiobook, but it was like at the tail end of having just binged a ton of audiobooks, and I was like, I am done with audiobooks for a while. I'm burnt out. And then Doctor Who's coming back with a new Doctor, and they're going to release the new episodes on Disney Plus. All the old stuff's not going to be on Disney Plus, but the new stuff is going to be on Disney Plus, like with the new Doctor who just got introduced in like new like 3-part holiday special thing. Yeah, like
they brought back David Tennant for this special or something, right?
Yeah. So that's on Disney Plus. So I might watch that over Christmas. Cool. I don't know.
I need to go back and watch like all of David Tennant because I've only seen like the first like season of him.
Oh, really?
And
I've
I
watched
love David Tennant in everything I've seen him in, and I liked that season. I just never like got through all of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I watched from Chris Eccleston through to like the start of Peter Capaldi, and then I think that's probably when I moved off to college and lost access to however I was watching it before. Or like it wasn't on. Because I had caught up with like what had been released, and the new stuff wasn't on Netflix, and so I couldn't watch it. And like I watched a little bit on BBC, but then I just like it got to be too much to track it down, and I think they didn't have all the episodes up at the same time, and so it just didn't happen. So but it's all on the artist formerly known as HBO Max. So let's see if I can get a login to that. I think I have Dad's login, so I'll probably try and watch that.
Cool. I have his login.
I can get it from you probably. He wouldn't mind.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'll probably watch that before I watch the other stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping to like watch and read and play. I don't play a lot of video games other than like the Zelda stuff. So I'm probably gonna do that. Maybe play some
another 4 years for the next Zelda game or whatever.
Yeah, at least 4. Oh gosh. It'll be like the debut game on the next Nintendo system. Is probably when we're gonna get another Zelda game.
Probably not, because the next Nintendo system is probably gonna come out it might come out the end of next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Switch is getting kind of long in the tooth already.
That's true. Yeah, so Well, I bet they'll port the Tears of the Kingdom onto the new system then.
Yeah, I mean, it might be like a Switch 2 that's like backwards compatible with all the games. That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already like established such a strong library for the Switch that my assumption is the next thing is probably going to be like basically just a more powerful Switch that can play the old Switch games but also play new ones.
Yeah. Like a 4K Switch kind of thing.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, so that's all I got for next year. I mean, obviously like parenting and work and stuff, but yeah.
Other life things.
Other life things, yeah. Those keep me busy. I'm a dad now. I don't have time for fun stuff like you. Fun single people. Well.
Yeah, being single is great.
So much fun. It's awesome.
Anyway. Well, this has been a fun time, as usual. It has. Yeah. So 2023 was a good year, and 2024 is going to be exciting. It's going to be an election year, so that's a bummer. But
oh god, why did you have to bring that up, man?
I like bringing down the room, Sam.
You do.
That's what people know me for. That's why they keep me around. To keep everybody sober. But yeah, this has been just a delight. This past like 30 episodes that we've done of this podcast now. It's been super fun. I'm very thankful. Real. I've been very thankful for us getting to hang out more and to get to know each other more and keep up with each other's lives. Especially now that like, you're so busy and we live in different states and it's just, this has been definitely a blessing to see what this podcast has been. So much appreciated as usual. And I love you, and I love all of our listeners, our beautiful, beautiful listeners who I'm sure are beautiful and wonderful and doing their best and deserve all the hugs. And
couldn't ask for better listeners.
Yes, couldn't ask for better listeners. I hope all of you have a good new year, good holidays, and stay safe. Have your designated drivers if you're drinking. Stay in school. Don't do spice.
Don't do spice. Don't do it.
And other such things. It's been a good time. I don't have anything else to say. It's just yeah. Anyway. All right. Join us next time in 2024. We'll be talking about. I'm excited about this next arc.
Oh, I'm so excited.
The Clone Wars Season 2, Episodes 12 through 14. The Mandalore Plot, Voyage of Temptation, and Duchess of Mandalore. We're getting Satine, Sam. We're getting some Mandalore. We're getting Mandalorian lore. Mandalore. Lore. And we're getting Obi-Wan and his ex. And I'm excited. This is gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good way to kick off this next year of Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have some new guests. We'll have Gracie at some point soon, and hopefully David, probably Jason, hopefully Mom. Who knows? Maybe some other special secret mystery guests that I haven't thought of yet.
Don't tell them.
Don't tell them the thing that I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know either. Tell me before you tell anybody else. Okay,
Sam, we're gonna get George W. Bush is gonna be our next guest.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
We can. I don't know. We'll just dunk on him the whole time. We'll just make fun of him. And
Cool. Great.
I don't know.
I don't know where this is going.
I don't know why that was the first person who came to mind.
I don't either.
Well, I'll cut that out.
No, leave it in. It's funny.
Okay. All right. Join us next time. We'll talk about that thing. May the force be with you all. Have a good new year, and I'm thankful for all of you, and I love you, and love you, Sam. And,
love you too, man.
Cut the chatter.
Cut that chatter.
Roger. And also Roger. All right, bye.
All right, cut the chatter. Roger, Roger.